This is a planning application to rezone a property located at 1025 Sherman Belcher Road, Centreville. My name is Alice Jacob and I'm a planner with the County of Kings. The purpose of the presentation is to inform the public about the application and to explain the planning policies that enable this application to occur and to also receive preliminary feedback from public. The application is still in its early stages, so no opinions have been formed on this application and no decisions have been made yet. This is a standard process we follow for a rezoning application. The first step is to receive a complete application, which we have received. The second step is to hold a public information meeting in the community where the property is located. A public information meeting for this application was held on April 22nd at the Centreville Community Hall. Properties within 500 feet were notified, and it was also advertised on our website and social media sites. Public information meetings are typically informal meetings and are not recorded. Staff have made notes of the public concerns and comments, which will be included within our staff report. The third step of the process is the staff review, where staff will review this application against the applicable policies, and we will be contacting the relevant internal and external departments for their feedback on relevant aspects of the application. A staff report is then prepared, which will be presented to the Planning Advisory Committee. If Planning Advisory Committee makes a positive recommendation, the application will go to Council for first reading, and Council may forward it to a public hearing. Again, properties within 500 feet will be notified of the hearing, and it will also be advertised on our website and social media sites. Public hearings are held in the council chambers and is an opportunity for members of the public to come in and share their concerns or comments directly with the council. Soon after the public hearing, the application will go for a second reading and council will make a decision. This decision will be advertised on our website and social media sites, and the application will move on to a 14-day appeal period. County of Kings map. The red circle on the map is the approximate location of the property within the county. The property, as I mentioned, is located within Centreville. This is an aerial map of the area where the property is located. The property is approximately 2.3 acres. Access is from Sherman Belcher Road. There is an existing dwelling on the property which is proposed to be retained. The neighboring properties to the east, west, and south are primarily developed with residential dwellings. To the north, the property borders two vacant parcels of land. The proposal is to rezone the property from the residential 1-unit R1 zone, which is a current zoning of the property, to the residential mixed density R3 zone to enable the development of townhouses. The townhouses are proposed on the eastern portion of the property. The reason for the rezoning is because the R1 zone does not permit townhouse building type, and it is only permitted within the other residential zones like the R3 and the R4 zones. To explain that further, this is the zoning map of the area. The property, as I said, is within the residential 1-unit R1 zone. The R1 zone permits residential uses like 1-unit dwellings and secondary suites within the dwellings. The proposed R3 zone, on the other hand, permits a variety of housing forms such as 1-unit dwellings, 2-unit dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, group dwellings, townhouses, and also multi-unit dwellings. So the rezoning would enable the applicant to build any of these options on the subject property. Coming back to the zoning map, to the north we have the R5 zone, which is the comprehensive neighborhood development zone, which is meant for large-scale planned neighborhoods. This could include a mix of housing forms. And then there is the residential 1 and 2 unit R2 zone further to the east, which permits residential uses such as 1 unit dwellings, 2 unit dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, and also group dwellings. And some pictures of the property and the surrounding area. On top is a key map for reference. These are the views of the property from the current axis. So this is the existing dwelling and the driveway to the dwelling. This is a view from the axis looking west, and this is a view from the axis looking east. As I mentioned, the neighboring uses are mostly residential in nature. And this is a portion of the subject property, and this is the neighboring property to the west. This is the area proposed for the townhouse development, which is located here on the map. In order for council to consider a rezoning, it has to be enabled by policies within our municipal planning strategy, which is our main policy document. This is the policy within the municipal planning strategy that enables this rezoning. It enables council to consider rezoning land from one zone enabled within a designation to another within the same designation. And policy 3.1.3 lists all zones that are enabled within the residential designation. Criteria A of the policy further directs to policy 3.1.2. As can be seen, both the R1 and the R3 zones are listed within this policy. As a result, council is able to consider this rezoning. This is an additional policy that applies to all rezoning applications. In order for staff to form a recommendation, we would need to check if the proposal meets the intent of this policy. So criteria A, we would check if it would be appropriate to place the proposed R3 zone on the subject property, whether the intent of the R3 zone is met through this rezoning. Criteria B, we would check if the impacts of the proposed development and other permitted uses within the new zone are acceptable and appropriate. And criteria C, we would assess if the proposal meets the other criteria listed within our general policy. And this is the general policy. We would review the application to see if it meets the intent of the municipal planning strategy, whether there are conflicts with any provincial or municipal programs, bylaws, or regulations, whether the proposal would have any financial impact on the municipality. Land use compatibility will be reviewed, and the adequacy and proximity to schools, recreation, and community facilities will be reviewed. Most of the aspects within this policy are reviewed by us, the municipality, but there are some that are not within our jurisdiction, and we would reach out to the relevant departments for their feedback and input. With regards to traffic access and egress, we would contact the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works, which is a provincial department, for their comments and feedback. The Kentville Fire Department will be contacted for their input on fire protection and services. The adequacy of sewer services will be reviewed by us, and the property is serviced by well water, which is within the jurisdiction of Nova Scotia Environment. The potential for flooding and drainage will be reviewed by us, and finally the site suitability will also be reviewed by us. That concludes the presentation, and this is my contact information. If there are any questions or comments with regard to this application, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.